Hello folks, Ram Ram ji. Welcome back to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. Well, things have to be looked at in more than just isolated incidents. If you continue to do that, before long, we won't have an India. And believe me, I'm not joking. The India as we know today is going to disappear. And we will end up with north, south, east and west, or a few states of different types. It becomes a mess all over again, as it was, say, 200-300 years ago, with little Maharaja fiefs, except these are all political Maharajas. Add to it something else, the thing which most people cannot envision, cannot think of, the extent of foreign intervention in our country. And I don't mean just George Soros. I mean the CIA, the American State Department, George Soros, and a whole lot of NGOs which go right down to grassroots level. It's something most of us can't get our minds around. Only this time, it is a concerted attack on umpteen different fronts. Now, I call it the toolkit. A lot of people call it toolkit. In Hindi, I suppose the term they use is Chakravyuh. How does it work? What are they trying to do? Well, you've got the Congress Party since 1947 have been doing everything possible to turn India into an Islamic country. I don't understand why. If they were going to do that, why did we have partition in the first place? Why? Now, things like, for instance, 1954, Jammu and Kashmir was hived off under Article 370 and 35A. Even though when Maharaja Hari Singh signed the letter of acceptance or accession to the Union of India, it was unconditional. None of this special status for Jammu and Kashmir, that did not exist. That was Sheikh Abdullah blackmailing Nehru into it. That's why it didn't come in until 1954. Then, of course, 1956, your Hindu Civil Code instead of a uniform civil code. Then, dividing India based on language, states based on language. Again, we're going back to what we were 200 years ago. Divisions all over the place, chopping us up into pieces, ensuring that we never become one nation. Well, there's more. Indira Gandhi brings in the Muslim Personal Law Board, 1973 or 74. Then Rajiv Gandhi, not to be outdone, Citizens Amendment Act, where anybody from Bangladesh who came into Assam, not West Bengal, just Assam, pre-December 31st, 1971, automatically became citizens of India. Why? Shabano, you must not get any alimony. Why? You mustn't interfere with Muslim personal law. And yet, there's nothing against interfering with Hindu personal law. Why? Hindus are being kicked around and stomped on by Nehru and his entire family since 1947. And Rahul Gandhi, is he any different? No. 2013. Now this is something which you've just come across. I think December 31st or some such time, around that time. Manmohan Singh starts off this organization for the betterment or improvement of the Waqf board. I mean, not only is there no such thing as a Waqf board anywhere else in the world, certainly not in any Islamic country, but now you have something to increase their efficiency, look after their properties and things like this. And of course the infamous Waqf Act of 1995, that's something else, oh boy. It's given the whole of this country over to Muslims without them having to pay 1 rupee as compensation to anybody. Karnataka government in this last budget are giving 100 crores to the Karnataka Waqf board for maintaining and improving their properties. 200 crores to Christian organizations for their churches and stuff. And where are they getting it from? All Hindu temples, all donations to them, 10% is taxed, is payable as tax. I mean, what kind of nonsense is this? Can one be more blatant than that? And we still haven't understood what's going on? Now the reason I remind you of this, that Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind has been collecting, how shall I put it, halal certification fees, which is a form of jizya tax on non-Muslims. Now whether it's companies, whether it's food products, whether it's cement, paper, pens, pencils, buildings, you name it, anything. No wonder Yogi Adityanath ji went ape when he came across this in UP. He banned all this. Because that means a jizya tax is being paid, which means we're already an Islamic country. Add to that the Waqf board, which is now beginning to get whole villages emptied. 6 villages in Tamil Nadu and now 1 near Patna, Govindpuri I think it is. I mean the village folk there have gone mad. You know, what on earth is this? What kind of nonsense is this? And yet, most of us are unaware of this. There's no transparency. The Waqf Act 1995, who knew about it until a couple of years ago when this thing in Tamil Nadu happened? You know, Trichandurai village. See, the worst part is, the authorities won't even tell you that your land has become Waqf property. You won't know. You're still living, well, in your fool's paradise. You look, it is my land, my home, until you try selling it. And then you're told, well, no, this is Waqf property. How, when, how come? Now all this is part of the toolkit. This is the Congress party sitting on top of all this. The second part of it is halal certification. That's where the finance comes from. Somewhere between 2 and 2.5 lakh crores every year. That's a hell of a lot of money. The Waqf board chips in. Between 2009 and between 2007 and 2024, their properties increased from a total of about 4 lakh acres to 9.25 lakh acres. How? How come? Who donated them, that land to them, or those properties to them? Well, the UPA government gave them 123 properties, which this BJP government is contesting very strongly. They also claim that land on which the Taj Mahal stands is Waqf property. Many ASI monuments in Bihar and other places, they have claimed. What kind of nonsense is this? One of the judges in Madhya Pradesh, who's presiding over one of these cases, says, why do you do everything in bits and pieces? Claim the whole of this country in one go. What's to stop you doing that? Now you understand why this Waqf Act 1995 has to be either amended drastically or just repealed altogether. Otherwise, we are an Islamic nation. You see, because any contradiction to their claim, you can't go to the High Court according to that act. You have to go to the Waqf Tribunal, which means, well, they operate under Sharia law, which means Sharia law has become the law, the de facto law of India when it comes to property. You see, this is the legal part, dovetailing with Waqf Board and Jamiyat Ulema-e-Hind, finance, land and law. The three working together. That's a very major part of the toolkit. And who is behind all this? Congress Party of India. Need I say any more? Now more parts of this toolkit. Turning us into an Islamic country. They have maintained and kept the Bangladesh borders open, both West Bengal and Assam. Why? Bangladesh is a port into India. All the Shahi Idgahs, all the mosques, Shahi mosques, the madrasas and such places, they're all safe havens to distribute them all over the place. They're not all in one place because they're trying to change the demography of India. How? They don't need to be in 543 constituencies. If they can change it in 300 of them, they have a majority in Parliament. And that's what they seem to be trying to do. You see, Delhi is full of Bangladeshis, almost 2 million of them. Not a joke. Add to it the Waqf Act 1995 and the Jamiyat Ulema-e-Hind for halal certification. You've got everything there. The next is to disrupt life in India, which is what the Congress did to remove the British. I told you then, the Congress Party and Nehru and his family have never considered India to be an independent nation. To them, it was a British colony, it is now their colony. They have replaced the British. You ever think it's funny? It isn't. Trust me. Why do I say this? Well, all industry, all businesses have always been capped to a certain level. The only way they can grow is what is known as stagflation. You cannot increase production. The only way you can show growth is to raise prices. There you go again. Now, of course, there's something else being added. You got Mr. Rahul Gandhi. First, is he an Indian citizen? The fact that he keeps saying he has no home in India, no house in India. Why? Is it because he is not permitted to own a house? Because if he is not an Indian national, he is not permitted to own property. Second, He knows he has no real standing in politics in this country. He has become the major or the leader of the Mir Jafars. You know, the commander-in-chief of Siraj-ud-Dowla's army against the British. He joined forces with the British to overthrow his own. This is what Rahul Gandhi is doing. He goes abroad, he meets people like the CIA representatives, Donald Lu, Victoria Nuland. Why? Victoria Nuland and Donald Lu are your regime change experts. And they are employed in the State Department in the USA. Donald Lu has just helped overthrow the Bangladesh government. Victoria Nuland overthrew the Ukrainian government and replaced it with one favorable to the USA. India seems to be the next one on their list. He also meets people like George Soros. He also meets, he knows parts of the Rothschild family. Now watch. He's gone abroad. He's also been informed about what was about to happen in Bangladesh before it happened. And he seemed to agree, yes, do this. What does that make him? Not a very nice person. He has started interfering in other countries and their governments. Note the George Soros mindset. All governments must be in line with your way of thinking, i.e., my way or the highway. Now, another part of the mess they want to create in this country. Remember last year the first Hindenburg report against Adani? Now you got another one against SEBI itself and the SEBI chief. Again the target, the State Bank of India, and because of that, the LIC. You see, at the moment, State Bank of India and LIC, no foreign power or no foreign investment agency can own more than 49%. They cannot get total control. If Rahul Gandhi comes in as Prime Minister, it will be the end of India, but they can get him to change that rule and say, no, foreign investors can have 75%. Our banking system is taken over. Our insurance is taken over, which is precisely what people like George Soros and the Rothschilds want. Economic collapse. If something happens with SEBI, who loses? If the stock market crashes, you and I, retail investors, small people, we lose everything. That doesn't matter to him, makes no difference. He'll be very happy. Because then much of our markets will be taken over by the same people. The George Soroses and the Rothschilds. So we see first legislation, the Waqf Board and the Jamiat Ulema Hind to turn us into an Islamic country. Economic collapse, which is exactly what people like Soros and the Rothschilds want, because then they can buy in cheap at very low prices. You see, notice one other thing. The rupee has been falling against the dollar in the last 7 or 8 years from about just over 60, 65 rupees to now around 83, 84 rupees. Why? Who decides exchange rates? The Rothschilds. Who prints US dollars? The Rothschilds. Because they have the controlling interest in the US Federal Reserve. And don't say they're not in India, they are already in India. How? Well, they've got a 75 square kilometer concession in diamond mining in the Panna region. How they got it? Obviously, the UPA government, which means Sonia Gandhi, Manmohan Singh and Rahul Gandhi. Nobody else gets more than 25 square kilometers. How did they and why did they get 75? Also, BP Oil purchased all of the KG basin from Ambani's. BP Oil is Rothschilds. Adani, when their prices crashed because of the first Hindenburg report, a company called GQG invested heavily. They bought a lot of money on the cheap, a lot of shares or stock on the cheap. Recently, Ultratech Cement. What was it? The same GQG? 2,700 crores worth? How come? How come the same company buys up so much? Surreptitiously, somebody is buying up Indian industry. Now these are core industries, not to be taken lightly. Somebody wants a stranglehold on the Indian economy. There can only be one of two people. One is the agent, it's George Soros, and the other is their boss. You know who? The Rothschilds. Now we come into something else. The illegal migrants from Bangladesh. There are almost 70 million of them in this country, Bangladeshis and Rohingyas. Why didn't the Rohingyas go into Tibet or China? From where they were on the China-Myanmar border, it's only 4 or 5 kilometers. How did they manage to come into India and about 2,000 kilometers away into Jammu and Kashmir or into Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan? What are they doing there? Remember what I said? Changing the demography of India? They're out to try and get, Muslims are trying to get control of the Indian parliament. This is one way. Now, having disrupted the economy, there is one other thing they're doing. In the last month or so, how many times have you heard of things being found on the railway tracks? Now, it isn't just happening. Who is situated or living in colonies alongside railway tracks, railway platforms, railway stations? Bangladeshis, Rohingyas. I mean, bits of wood on the track, derailment, making it look as if traveling by train is unsafe. You mustn't travel. All businesses get destroyed or ruined. Fortunately, having become digitalized, a good chunk of that is being stopped. You don't need to travel. They don't like that, do they? There's more. Direct foreign interference, again aimed at trying to make Rahul Gandhi the Prime Minister of India. Rahul Gandhi was in the US. 3 days, 4 days. Why did they invite Stalin, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, to the USA at the same time? Why was Kumaraswamy, the Deputy CM of Chief Minister of Karnataka, why was he invited to USA at the same time? Are all three being briefed? You remember what I said, the South? Totally anti-Hindu. Stalin's son, endorsed by Stalin himself, their aim, or the DMK's aim, is to eradicate Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma all over the country. Well, they're trying to do it in the South, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Kerala is almost already half Muslim. Well, elections are announced, as I said, in Jammu and Kashmir and Haryana and Jharkhand. So what happens? The political councillor from the embassy, US embassy in Delhi, hotwoods it to to Srinagar to do what? To have a long meeting with Farooq Abdullah. Sorry, his son Omar Abdullah. Now, Omar Abdullah had said he is not going to contest the election. All of a sudden, what happens? He decides to contest. You see the influence. The American consul, or the head of the consular office in Hyderabad, has a long chat with one Mr. Owaisi. Then she goes and has a chat with Pawan Kalyan and Chandrababu Naidu. Now these two are NDA partners. What is he trying to tell her? What is she trying to tell them? To vote against it? To stop this amendments to the Waqf Act 1995. Why? Because they want the Modi government to fall. You remember Rahul Gandhi had said in June, by December, the Modi government will fall. You note the trends? Conversion and takeover by Islamic organizations, foreign interference. That's not all. Around the time of this political advisor or counselor going to meet Omar Abdullah, at 2 in the morning, leaders of that farmers' agitation of a couple of years ago enter the US embassy, all covered up. Indian securities people noticed this. What's going on? They met, obviously, people in the US embassy, most probably CIA people. And when they left, they were trailed. And they all went to a farmhouse. The NIA and the NSA were informed. They started taking action. Now you see what's happening. Then Rahul Gandhi starts off his caste census. Even though his own grandmother has said, we have to get away from this division by caste. We have to become one nation. And this man is trying to break us up, send us back into little pieces. The worst part is, he is trying to bring these divisions and this unrest into our defense services, our armed forces, our railways. Any of these organizations you can think of, even government offices. I mean, why is he trying to disrupt everything? Because it's not going to help India as a nation. Sorry. So, foreign agencies and Rahul Gandhi and co. are in touch with our food supply, meaning the farmers' organization, our armed forces, who are supposed to be protecting our borders and protecting our people. And then the political system. Now when you got, and of course, the railways. Now when you get our transport system and our food supply and our armed services all messing up, all divided, what's left of this country? Who's going to look after us? Which means that Rahul Gandhi is not just a Mir Jafar, he's a Jayachand, a real monster. Because he's organizing all this and willingly taking part in this. And we're allowing such traitors to wander around. Add to that what he signed with the Chinese Communist Party in 2008. We still don't know what's in that MOU. I mean, how is it that you call this democratic? That a person gets away with such nonsense, such treason? And the moment anybody says anything, the USA says, oh, democracy is in danger. He says, Rahul Gandhi says, democracy is in danger. The next thing, the constitution is in danger. Modi is going to change the constitution. What kind of rubbish is that? Who are the people who have messed around with the constitution? Nehru. When the constitution says a uniform civil code, Article 44, why did he bring in a Hindu civil code? Indira Gandhi, during the emergency, she inserted two words into the constitution, the preamble, that India is a secular socialist country. Where was that point discussed? It was discussed pre-1949 by the founding fathers. They discussed it 12, 13, 14 times and decided against it. Something you don't understand, or most people don't understand, is in a secular country, how do you have minorities? And of course, the attacks on the railways. Who's behind it? Well, they've investigated near Kanpur. And they're finding a whole, the Pandora's box is beginning to open. Now it tells you just how low the Congress and some of these Muslim organizations have become. Anything to grab power, anything to disrupt, destroy what we've taken 70 years to build. Why? Because Rahul Gandhi knows he doesn't have the wherewithal to weld a nation together, a nation full of intelligent people. I mean, the caste census is in itself the very antithesis of what we've been trying to do since independence. We have been trying to bring all of us together as one unit, and he's trying to divide us into umpteen different units, all pulling different directions. An army or a supply chain or a transport system, if it pulls in separate different ways, you cannot have any form of unity or any sort of uniform policy. You cannot. It's as if you have a cricket team And each one wants to pull in different directions. Each one has a different agenda or a different aim. Can you expect any form of success from it? No. It's when all of them have one aim, one agenda, that's when you have success. See, there's so many things. There's more. But if I continue, it'll go even further. It'll take even longer. I'll continue this in the next part. Because there's much more to this. Especially people like George Soros. How sinister they really are. And how closely involved Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi have been with George Soros since 1994. How long? It's about 30 years. And people don't think much about it. Why? Oh, by the way, life begins to be getting interesting. With all this going on, one wonders, what next? Apparently, there's a newspaper in Russia that came out with this. What I said last year about George Soros and the takeover of India, he seems to be going through exactly the same thing. He seems to have found exactly the same points of view, the same conclusions as I came to 18 months ago. So please, don't take what I've said lightly. It's a whole lot of conspiracies attacking Modi and the BJP government at exactly the same moment, i.e. simultaneous attack, concerted attack from different directions. As I mentioned earlier, some people call it the Toolkit. In Hindi or something they call it Chakravyuh. Which do you counter first? Well, folks, maybe a little more in part 2. But please take time to have a look at this one and think about it. Because it's going to decide our future and our future generations, how they begin to live, how they continue, or don't they? Well, folks, all the best. Have fun. Like, subscribe if you like. Pass it on to your friends, relatives, groups, you name it. This is something they should all know. Ciao.